What is the stupidest thing you have ever heard out of someone's mouth? A woman I know adopted a baby from an Eastern European country. Someone who worked in our city's education system said, but when she grows up, how will you understand what she's saying? That sounds like some shit I'd say, and immediately realize what I just said. Someone put their jacket right beside a stove and said, don't worry, it's waterproof. Sounds like something I would say. I was in a Warby Parker one day and there was a married couple being waited on ahead of me. I'd guess they were both maybe 50. The sales guy was showing them a pair of transition lenses and the man just could not understand them. The sales guy tried to explain them. His wife tried to explain them. He just kept replying, but I don't understand how they give you night vision. They brought him outside to show him how their lenses darken in sunlight, so you don't need a separate pair of sunglasses, and he was like, oh, okay, I get it now, but how does the night vision work? After 20 minutes or so they gave up trying to explain to him that the glasses do not give you night vision. Let the man just have his night vision glasses. Leaving the movie Titanic in 1997, I passed a person and overheard them say that movie was so unrealistic, no ship like that would sink. Legit hadn't heard of the sinking of the Titanic and thought the events in the movie were fiction. No ship like that would sink. She's made of iron, sir. I assure you, she can. London is the Paris of New York, said my friend after a few drinks. We never let him forget it. I'd love that on a shirt actually, lol. You're not Asian, you're Chinese. That reminds me of a Dyson Ray saying she might not be Asian, she could be Korean. I was working midnights back in the 80s. It was almost dawn and a few of us were hanging out in the parking lot. Venus was blazing away in the pre-dawn sky. I pointed it out to my co-workers and how it was easy to find in the sky, its positioning in relation to the sun, when I got interrupted by one of the guys standing there. He was pretty adamant that the sun revolved around the earth. By 80s do you mean the 1680s? Because then it might be reasonable. I shit you not, I heard that the earth is hollow. And we live on the inside. When we look at the sky, we are looking into the middle of the earth, where are 3 spheres. Black body sphere is the biggest, and it has dots on it. That's night. Sun and moon are smaller spheres. At night, sun is behind black sphere, so it is dark. Also you can't see other parts of the earth just by looking up, because light does not travel in a straight line. It travels in a spiral. The thing that threw me off most about this is that they claimed light travels in spirals. If it did, you wouldn't see anything like you normally do, and it wouldn't just disappear either, making you not able to see the other side. A roommate had to walk to work 2 kilometers in the sun. He asks me how he'd stop his head getting burnt, and asked me for advice on how to put sunscreen in his hair. I suggested a hat. He was floored, mouth dropped open, and thought it was a great solution. He told me I was so clever. Haha. No way these people exist. My Walgreens pharmacist just this morning that said he would sell my insulin, but wouldn't sell my syringes. WTF am I supposed to do with a vial of insulin with no way to inject it? Find one of those clean needle stands for drug users? One of my old friend asking in a serious voice traveling down to the beach, how's late at night, him looking out the window. So who changes the batteries on the side reflector post when they run out? Just tell him it's one of the jobs for community service when they pick up trash on the highway. Designated battery guy, court ordered. At what age do you tell a highway that it was adopted? If you're homeless, just buy a house. If you're dead, just be alive. Buy a house. Just buy a house. Why don't I just strap on my house helmet and squeeze into my house cannon and shoot off into houseland, where houses grow on house IES? Overhearing a conversation on a cruise deck between 2 people. Look at how many stars there are out there. Yeah, they're actually pretty big too. If one crashed all the way in the water over there, it bet it would splash us over here. They aren't wrong. I think they'll be splashed with hot plasma and not water, though. The planet would be disintegrated long before there was any splashing. I worked at a hippie crystal store in the mall. these girls come up and are looking at our amethyst cathedral's big pretty chunks of amethyst. One reached out to touch it and her friend immediately held her back and pulled her away, yelling, "Don't touch that. It's amethyst. Being around it gives you asthma." She was genuinely upset. I stopped dead in my tracks when I heard that one. That's it. The dumbest thing I ever heard. I asked my student why she missed 5 weeks of class, and she said, while looking me dead in the eye, that she had a nosebleed. I mean, if I had a nosebleed that lasted 5 weeks, school would be a pretty low priority, LMAO. 5 weeks is obviously ridiculous, but I went to grade school with a kid that consistently got nosebleeds. He would go to the nurse's office for like 20 minutes until it stopped, and then came back to class. One day he didn't come back the rest of the day, and then didn't come back for like 3 or 4 days because something got so ducked up that he had to have surgery on his nostrils. I remember being jealous that he got to miss almost a week of school just because his nose was bleeding. Most likely no one that has seen a dinosaur is still alive. Bonus point because this was said while dragons from GOT were shown on TV. The idea was to point out that the TV show Game of Thrones was not real, since people who lived with the dinosaurs are most likely dead by now, and no one can be sure what a dragon looks like. I'll be a virgin for the rest of my life. I want my children to be proud of me. Maybe he wanna adopt some. She. But now that you said this, it kinda makes some sense. I thought snow was just the dust that blows off mountains, and rain was when the snow melted. 23-year-old in one of my uni classes. What's chicken made out of? My dumbus of an older brother. It's made out of children. Everyone knows that. I post this all the time and I will continue to do so for more. It was right after the 2020 election and my neighbor was ranting and furious about how Trump lost, claiming fraud, etc. I didn't want to get involved, so I simply said, well, it's going to court, hoping that'd shut him up. Instead, his response was truly the dumbest thing ever said by any man, by saying, well, what good is that going to do? All these judges, even the Trump appointees, only rule according to the law. I thought I could not be any more surprised by how dumb people can be. I was wrong. Australia doesn't exist. Yeah, like Chris Hemsworth and Margot Robbie are from Asgard. Bad news for me seeing I live in Sydney. You're probably just in a simulation. How do left-handed people drive? My sister, as she then proceeded to try and drive left-footed. We just changed the steering on the passenger side. That's why you see so much cars like that in the UK. Lots of left-handed people. Jose good boy. Jose good boy. Do you want a treat? I'm a good boy, Tim. You said it 5 minutes ago, and of course I want a treat. If you untie your belly button, your bum falls off. That sounds like something a parent tells their toddler and never corrects it later on. My kid believed it until he was 4. He also believed that if he stayed in water for too long, he would get gills and I would have to drive him to the ocean to live with the merfolk. Until he was 9. He is 10 and still believes my sister is from another planet and that when she is away on vacation, she is really seeing her birth family on her home planet. She has even brought him some coins from there, foreign currency. Also, he thinks it's illegal to drive with the interior lights on. One of them isn't people in Africa called Australian people. I actually know a girl who thinks Mexico is in North Africa. I think being cryogenically frozen would be cool because you could see the future. I'd have to bring a space heater or a blanket or something though. I don't like being cold. Star basketball player in my high school health class. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.